and welcome to another episode of Industry Celebrities. My name is Kimberly Scott. Industry Celebrities is a podcast where I interview industry professionals in any industry, and I ask them questions about their industry or their passion. Plus, the guests will share a little advice to their younger self. If you want to tune in to other episodes, you can do so by going to thatkimberly.com/convo. Choose which platform you prefer to listen to, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Google Cast, YouTube, and now Amazon Alexa. So now that I got that out of the way, I'd like to welcome today's guest, Miss Marla Posey. Hello, Marla.
Hey, Kimberly, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to visit with me.
Appreciate it.
Well, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and what industry you're in.
So, as you said, my name is Marla Posey. I am the founder and CEO of Spark Multifamily Learning Consulting. We are located in Kearney, New Jersey, just 7 short miles from Lower Manhattan, although it will take us an hour and a half to get there this morning. We have a lot of traffic out here on the East Coast.
Yes.
And, yes, but I do love it living here, and it's great having our offices here. But like I said, the traffic is challenging sometimes.
But at least you guys have public transit, unlike Texas.
That is true.
We have it, but nobody uses it.
That is true. Yeah, lots of people do use both trains and buses around here, but we just have a lot of people. So we still have the traffic on the roads. So
yes, definitely. Well, how long have you been in the multifamily industry, and where did you get your start within?
So I started in the industry back in '99. I had started my career before that outside of the industry. After I transitioned from the retail industry. And so it's been a solid 20 years now.
Did you start on site, on the operations side or the supplier side?
I started on site. I think like so many other people, I fell into the industry. You hear that story a lot. How'd you get into the industry? People are like, I just fell into it. And my story really was that after spending several years as a regional manager in children's wear, I worked for Oshkosh B'gosh for many years. And for a long time, I spent 4 solid days every week, either on a plane, train, or in an automobile.
Fun.
And
I'm being sarcastic. I mean, it's, in the beginning, it's great to see and to meet new people. But after a extended period of time, and if you don't take enough breaks, if you don't, give yourself some time to recoup, it does wear on the body for sure.
It is so true. And so it was after I'd done that for many years that I said, I think it's time for a change. So I decided to leave the industry. I took a little bit of a sabbatical. And when I decided that it was time to kind of get back into the workforce, it was interesting because when I decided to start to look for a position again, I was very clear in my mind that I did not want a position of any responsibility of any kind. I wanted a real break. I wanted to get back to work, and I wanted to have things that were interesting in my work life, but I just did not want to have responsibility. So I responded to a job posting that was in the newspaper. Yes.
Oh my goodness. You mean there was no LinkedIn and no Indeed and ZipRecruiter? There was none of that?
Oh, there was none of that. It literally was like a local regional newspaper, and it was a company out of Philadelphia. They had a job posting for a leasing consultant that happened to be at a community that was 10 minutes from my house. And I was like, wow, okay, this is great.
Yeah.
So I know when I'd spoken to them, like I said, I was very upfront that while I was a hard worker and I was very dedicated, that I had no interest in any type of management role, even though I'd had, certainly had one in the past. And then from that conversation, 6 months later, I took the leap from being a leasing consultant at that community to the property manager. And then with a very short amount of time after that, I became the regional manager overseeing 18 assets in New Jersey. So it was funny because obviously that initial conversation, it was clear that kind of, went out the window. So so that's kind of how my journey in the multifamily industry got started.
Well, so then you went to starting your own business with lots of responsibility.
Yes.
I kind of laugh when people say, I work too much and make too much for other people. I want to start my own business and, make, profit for myself. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome and great ambition. I just hope you know that you're going to work 10 times harder and longer for yourself than you will anybody else. And they look at me kind of like, okay. Are you sure? Or maybe?
Really? Are you sure? Yeah. No, but it definitely is true. And so certainly from that initial position, I had moved from company to company and kind of had risen essentially through, the rungs of the ladder or what have you, and then launched, Spark in 2015. And I will say that you are absolutely right on the money in terms of the time and the effort and the energy output when it's your own business is more extraordinarily high than when you're working as an employee. Because I feel like especially when we first got started, I worked 7 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year. There was always something that I was doing for or about Spark or talking about Spark. And I think people were like, stop talking about it.
Yeah. No, you're just passionate about it and you want people to know, and whether it's you're working on a project for a client, you're doing research or networking, you're doing payroll, you're whatever it is, it's
training, hiring, social media, whatever it is. There's all these aspects that, oftentimes I think when you're an employee and you're working for, a corporation, you have all these different departments and different folks to be able to help support you in those different elements of running a company. But then when you launch yourself, initially, oftentimes you are a solopreneur. So
yeah.
So then I used to laugh and said I needed like multiple hat racks because I would change hats like from, throughout the course of the day. And thankfully now, we recently celebrated our 4-year anniversary and we have now moved on from being a 1-person shop to being 8 people strong. And so
congratulations.
Thank you.
I know what a feeling of joy and stress, just a smidge, because now you got other people you're responsible for, but it drives you, it keeps you going. It continues to light that fire because it's the best feeling. I mean, I could put a lot more words into that, but I'm just saying it's a huge milestone. And so kudos, big applaud to you because, you worked hard to get there. So
thanks. It's been great because one of the great things that I like to sit back and see is other people's perspectives or opinions or ideas that they're all working towards my initial vision. And we've just been able to really kind of pull together some really talented folks that are much smarter than me. And so I really appreciate that.
That's a great leader, surrounding themselves with people that are smarter than you, and you educate each other on whatever you're strongest at. You're going to teach your team, and what your team or that employee person is strongest at, they're going to teach you. So it is definitely a great strategy. So what do you enjoy the most about being in the multifamily space?
So, I think there's just so many things I could talk about in terms of particular elements that I really enjoy. But I know this sometimes, and I've said this before, if somebody's asked me, I feel like this sounds a little corny, but it really is true that being especially on the residential side of multifamily, you have the opportunity, and we still, even at Spark with both our consulting vertical particularly, we're still able to realize this benefit, as I did way back when I was on site, is, kind of have that chance to possibly be part of someone's memories. Because when someone's choosing an apartment or you're helping them choose a particular floor plan or a particular community in your portfolio or what have you, this could really be their very first apartment. This could be where they bring their first baby home, or where they meet their best friend, or where they get engaged, or whatever it may be. And so to have an opportunity to kind of be part of that, I think is really, it's really cool. I really do. And I think it may sound a little corny and quirky, but I think that that's really one of the great things about this industry, that we get to be a small part of that. And then also, of course, having the privilege, again, when I was on the operator side of the industry, or certainly now, being able to collaborate with folks and be able to, especially when someone's first getting into the industry and they're very new, and being able to really watch them grow and flourish, and being able to be a small part of that. I think that truly is pretty satisfying.
Well, I can tell you that it's not corny or cheesy to want to touch people's lives in a positive way, no matter what it is. So I don't find that to be corny or cheesy.
Thank you.
And being collaborative is definitely something that I too can say I enjoy about the industry across the board. Even getting into podcasting, I've realized how collaborative that industry is. So collaboration is one of my things that makes me happy, for sure.
Sure.
So I can understand how, that is something that you enjoy about our industry. Well, my standing question, are you ready for it?
Oh, I'm going to brace myself.
It's really easy. I tell people all the time when I invite them on, it's not hard. But
I don't know. I'll be the judge of that.
Okay. What would you tell your younger self? What advice would you give to your younger self?
I think the best piece of advice that I would give my younger self, or quite honestly anybody when they're first getting started, is to find a mentor. Find somebody that you really look up to, someone that'll advocate for you, and also just be very truthful and honest about areas that you may need to improve on, and also be your cheerleader to tell you the things that you just naturally do well. And I think that is something that anyone can benefit, quite honestly, can benefit from in any industry, not just necessarily in multifamily.
Agreed.
And I know when I have talked about this before in terms of my true belief that everyone should really have a mentor, regardless if you're just brand new to an industry or you are more seasoned. There's always somebody who could mentor you in different areas. And I think that continues to be important through your journey. And I think sometimes people are a little fearful to ask somebody because they feel that maybe that other person won't have the time or wouldn't be interested. And in my experience, I think that people are really willing to help each other, and they really truly want to support one another. So I think the first step is just to ask.
Yes.
Just ask that person.
Yes. My mentor was my mom and my grandfather growing up. And I didn't realize that you needed a mentor in business at all. I just kind of, when I look back now, like the fact that you're just talking about finding a mentor, I found a couple by accident. I never asked them, but I just kept showing up. Kept meeting them for coffee or asking them to take them to lunch. And nowadays, you're right. I just had someone reach out to me the other day and ask if I would be their mentor. And I was like, wow, that's kind of a fancy, cool word. Nobody's ever asked me that, but I'll absolutely help you. I mean, but especially when a millennial asks that, I definitely take it as a compliment, because
absolutely,
because there's so much that we can learn from, that I learn from my nieces and my nephews all the time. And they don't take my advice. Sometimes they do. As they get older, they definitely do. But, in the beginning, whoever took, I don't know about you, but I never took anybody's older's advice. I'm like, yeah, I got this. Well, I can figure it out, whatever. Right. But you definitely, that is great advice to speak out loud, to say, ask, just ask.
Just ask.
And I believe Gary Vee does state this. I don't know his true stat, but he says, there might be 100 people that tell you no, but then there's going to be that one that finally tells you yes. You just got to ask. If you don't ask,
you just got to ask. And also I think choosing, when you kind of have your list, for instance, like you said, you may ask some people and they may just not, it's not no, and it's not a personal no. It's just that maybe they didn't have the time at that moment.
Correct.
And so I think it's always good to maybe have a couple of people that you would, like to ask to be your mentor, kind of on your list or what have you. And look for people that have kind of are or have been where you want to go. Yes. And then choose your mentors that way.
Definitely. That's how in the apartment industry, I knew one person. I tell people all the time when I moved to Dallas, and I just started networking with lots of people in the apartment business. And when somebody said, oh, I can't help you, but here's this person that can, I would follow up and meet with that person. Like, I wanted to better understand how to, build a business in the apartment space. And I sought out others that had done that, whether it was exactly the type of business, which it wasn't, because we were the first in our space to do what we did. But it was definitely meeting a lot of business owners, suppliers, especially that, started business in the multifamily space, or even people who were on the management side that started as an on-site person. Now, now a lot of them are senior VPs and presidents of the company, but, back then they were either property manager, regional, and, some high ups, but definitely taking that advice from them on how to or their insights was huge in my career. So,
well, and I would say also, ask a lot of questions, along the way. And I look back at my younger self, and I think that I I believed for some reason, I'm not sure why I believe this, but I believe it's some reason that I was supposed to know everything.
Yeah.
Or I thought I did know everything. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just very open to asking questions and not having any fear of someone thinking that, you know, that I don't know or that I should know something that I'm asking a question about. That doesn't even enter my mind anymore. And so again, and what I'm finding is I've just been able to collaborate with so many folks and have my network of these experts in their field or their expertise that they have about a particular topic is just continuing to grow because I don't have that fear anymore of feeling like I need to know. I know that I don't know everything. So
yeah. Well, good for you. I
Yeah.
feel the same way. I definitely got older. Well, I think I was fearless. I'm still just as fearless, but I'm okay with more so saying I don't know now than I ever did before. You know, when I was younger, I would
Sure.
prior to the Google search, you know, you had to go and ask and talk to people. So I would just go ask and
true.
talk to people.
Mhm.
And now I Google lots of stuff, but
It's so true.
you're
So
forever learning. But well, I appreciate your time so much, Marla. And how can listeners get a hold of you if they're interested in connecting with you or learning more about Spark?
They can check out our website, which is sparkmultifamily.com.
Mm-hmm.
And check out our team on our website and a little more about what we do, because we have two verticals within our organization, both consulting and we have an education learning vertical as well. So they can check us out there, or certainly they can email me directly at mposey@sparkmultifamily.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Marla. I appreciate your time and allowing me to interview you. And listeners, remember to hit the subscribe button on any channel you're listening to, whether it's YouTube, iTunes, Anchor. Again, I am on Amazon Alexa, or you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Instagram, and all those great places. And until next week, stay positive and remember, sharing is caring. Thank you, Marla. Have a great day.
Thanks.